December 2, 1942, 3:25 p.m. Beneath the cold concrete stands of Stagg Field, University of Chicago. The air is thick, not with smoke, not with dust, but with anticipation. A small group of men huddle around a crude pile of graphite blocks and uranium. No uniforms, no medals, just lab coats, and the weight of a war pressing down on their shoulders. At the center stands Enrico Fermi, calm, focused, almost unnervingly so. A control rod is slowly pulled back. Silence. Then click. Another adjustment. You can almost hear the hum before it exists. A chain reaction beginning. Invisible. Unstoppable. For the first time in human history, a self-sustaining nuclear reaction is achieved. No explosion. No flash. Just numbers quietly climbing on a graph. But in that moment, the world changes forever. 3 years earlier, this would have sounded like madness. Europe is already trembling under the boots of war. Adolf Hitler has begun his expansion, and whispers of a new kind of weapon are spreading through the scientific community. Not bombs made of steel and fire, but bombs built from the very fabric of matter itself. It begins with a letter, a warning. Albert Einstein, urged by physicist Leo Szilard, signs a message addressed to Franklin D. Roosevelt. The message is simple, but terrifying. Nazi Germany may be developing an atomic bomb, and if they succeed, first, the consequences are unthinkable. Roosevelt reads it, pauses, then he acts. What follows is not just a project, it is a race. Desert doesn't sleep. Night falls over Los Alamos, but the lights inside the laboratory stay on. Inside, chalk dust floats in the air like smoke after a battlefield. Equations cover every surface, half erased, rewritten, argued over. And at the center of it all, J. Robert Oppenheimer stands motionless, staring at a blackboard. Not because he doesn't understand the problem, but because he understands it too well. The challenge is no longer theoretical. They know a chain reaction can work. Enrico Fermi proved that in Chicago. Now the question is far more dangerous. How do you make it explode? There are two paths, two designs, two chances to either succeed or fail catastrophically. The first is simple in theory, a gun-type design. Take two subcritical masses of uranium, 2, 3, 5. Fire one into the other like a bullet. If the timing is perfect, the atoms split, the reaction cascades, and the energy release is instantaneous, a city-ending explosion. Clean, direct. But there's a problem. Uranium, 235, is incredibly rare. Separating it from natural uranium is slow, expensive, and painfully inefficient. At Oak Ridge, thousands of workers operate massive machines, day and night calotrons, gaseous diffusion chambers, trying to isolate just a few kilograms. Weeks pass, then months. Still not enough. So, the team turns to the second path, plutonium, a man-made element produced in reactors at Hanford site. It's more abundant, more promising, but far more unstable. July 16, 1945, 5:29 a.m. Jornada de El Muerto Desert, New Mexico. The name means Journey of the Dead Man. And this morning, it feels earned. Darkness still clings to the horizon. The sky is heavy, swollen with storm clouds that weren't supposed to be there. Lightning flickers in the distance. Rain threatens everything. 100 scientists, Zinvorner, and Alaskari personnel wait in silence, scattered across bunkers and observation posts miles away from Ground Zero. No one speaks loudly. No one jokes. Because ahead of them, standing alone in the desert, is the device. They call it the gadget, an almost harmless name for something so catastrophic. A steel tower holds it high above the ground. Inside, the plutonium core rests surrounded by precisely engineered explosive lenses. Months of theory, years of work, balanced on a razor's edge. Inside the control bunker, J. Robert Oppenheimer stands with arms folded, eyes fixed forward. He hasn't slept. None of them have. Nearby, Enrico Fermi quietly prepares a strange experiment. Small pieces of paper he plans to drop during the blast, to measure the shockwave by how far they scatter. Simple, almost absurd. Yet in this moment, it feels like the only thing anyone can control. The countdown begins. T-minus 20 minutes. The storm worsens. Rain starts falling across the desert. If lightning strikes the tower, it could trigger the bomb prematurely, or destroy it completely. Tension spikes. Voices rise. Should they delay? Post August 6th, 1945, 8:15 a.m. Above Hiroshima. The sky is clear, calm, almost peaceful. Far below, the city is alive. Trams rattle along their tracks. Children walk to school. Shopkeepers open their doors. A normal morning. Then, a single aircraft cuts through the sky. The B-29 Superfortress, Enola Gay. Inside, the crew moves with precision. No hesitation, no second guesses. At the center of the aircraft, the bomb. Little boy, a final check, a breath held, release. The bomb falls, silently. For 43 seconds, nothing happens. Then, a flash, white, blinding, absolute. The city disappears in light. A fireball erupts, hotter than the surface of the sun. Buildings vaporize instantly. Shadows burn into walls. Human figures, gone in an instant. The shockwave follows, crushing everything in its path. Glass, steel, flesh, and rising above it all, the cloud. A towering column of smoke and fire, stretching miles into the sky. A second sun, turning into a permanent scar. In seconds, tens of thousands are dead. By the end of the day, more will follow. Burns, radiation, collapse. Those who survive stumble through a world they no longer recognize. Skin scorched, eyes blinded, voices calling out for help that doesn't come. 3 days later, August 9th, 1945. Another aircraft, another city, Nagasaki. This time, the bomb is different. More complex, more powerful. Fat Man. Again. The Flash. Again. Destruction. And just like that, 2 cities are gone. Back in the United States, the news spreads Q. July 25th, 1945. Late evening, Potsdam. The war in Europe is over, but the world is not at peace. Inside a heavily guarded villa, leaders of the Allied powers sit around a long wooden table. Maps are spread out, documents stacked high. The air is thick, not with urgency this time, but with consequence. At the head of it all sits Harry S. Truman. He looks tired, not from lack of sleep, but from the weight of a decision no leader has ever faced before. Just days earlier, he received confirmation. A message, coded in brief. The baby is born. He knows what it means. The test in the desert succeeded. The weapon works. Across the table, Winston Churchill leans forward, listening carefully. This isn't just an American development. This is a shift in global power. And somewhere beyond this room, the war against Japan continues. Fierce, relentless, unyielding. American forces are preparing for a full-scale invasion of the Japanese mainland. Operation Downfall. The estimates are staggering. Hundreds of thousands of Allied casualties. Possibly millions of Japanese lives lost. The fighting on islands like Okinawa has already shown what's coming. Civilians caught in the crossfire. Soldiers refusing to surrender. A war that doesn't end, even when defeat is certain. Truman knows this. Every report, every number, every projection. And now, he has another option. A weapon capable of ending the war in a single blow. But at what cost? Back in the United States, some of the very scientists, whoa,